Thanks. Thank you, Nathan. And good morning, afternoon, and evening to this, and welcome to the storytelling session with visual methods from the TAPESTRY consortium along with ICAD. Now, the storytelling session will aim to sketch issues of vivencia, lived experiences representing climate change, uncertainty, and transformative actions in South Asia. The panelists for this session, through participatory action research techniques, through visual ethnography, through engaging with children through their paintings, are going to bring to you tales from the vantage point of women islanders, of Sundarbans, and from the children facing the dual impact of COVID-19 and successive cyclones Amphan and Yash in world's largest mangrove delta, which is also home to over 7 million people, which is slightly more than the population of Norway. Now, the stories they're going to tell are everyday incidences experienced in the lives of the communities that are witnessing climate change. The stories through the participatory methods that have been collected through a mixture of Photovoice exploration and through use of participatory documentary photography will be told through the lens of the communities about their social processes of their lives and livelihoods and their relationship with nature. We hope that the stories will seek to raise critical questions, to build new knowledge, to provoke questions on equity, justice, and transformation. In addition, we will hear from children of the Sundarbans and their paintings, the voices of the children, their experiences, and the reimagination of a future landscape. Through the visual methods narratives, the presenters have tried to systemize local experience and organize shared collective analysis of the relationship between problems and their causes. As we will traverse the Troy storytelling with visual methods journey with our presenters, with our panelists, you'll find that the stories have also encouraged the process of reflection and has brought forth an understanding of history in this context. We will begin with my colleague Sumaiya, who is a bit late, so I will just keep on speaking for a while about the Photovoice that we'll be presenting together. And we will be speaking through the participatory visual action research method Photovoice about the accounts of fishers, crab catchers, the agriculturists, and most importantly, the women of this riverine landscape. This landscape with alarming level of land subsidence, flooding, erratic monsoons, and increasing instances of cyclones. As they turn the lens on the lived experiences of uncertainty, climate change, and imaginations of the future, we'll know how the visual methods were able to capture the tacit and embodied experiences of uncertainty and climate change. The stories will dwell on contestations in this flooded landscape, its culture, its place, its identity, due to the threats to traditional livelihood practices, its effect on the population, and changing access to their traditional cultivable lands. After the Photovoice presentation, next up is our colleagues Mahmuda and Upashana, who will speak about the digital photo diary, which has been immersed among the islanders to facilitate emergence of new issues through a particularly grim period of COVID and Amphan and the misery of these times, leading to collective analysis, problematizing, and in the long run, a change within the community who are coming to terms with the practical issues of climate change and dual uncertainties to a sense of empowered awakening. Through these visual methods, we have been able to unearth these stories which mirrors popular knowledge, which has always been disqualified and subjugated by the elite control over knowledge, being used as a way of maintaining a dominant status quo against pressures for social transformations. Through these storytelling and visual methods, we'll reflect on the struggles over the purpose, over the production and use of knowledge. The panel will end with a colleague Anindita, who will present to you the stories expressed through the paintings by the children of Indian Sundarbans, which have been severely affected by the tropical cyclone storm Amphan and then Yash amidst COVID-19 situation, and has led to multiple uncertainties. The children, through their paintings and accompanying narratives, will speak about their uncertainties, their fears, their traumas, and how they reimagine the future. Analysts who have been working with the marginalized communities for quite a number of years will speak about the experiences of conducting community-based participatory visual action research. So through the use of visuals and narratives in this session, the aim of our inquiry is not only to aim or predict, but to be able to understand, reimagine, and transform reality. So if Sumaiya is there, then we can continue with the Photovoice, or else I may want to hand it to Anindita if she is ready, or to Pashana.
I can.
Anindita, are you starting?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think you should, yeah.
Hello, everyone. I am Anindita Saha, working as a research associate at CWH Sussex University. I am also the part of TAPESTRY's Bangalore School project. Now, I am going to share my slides. Today, I am going to share the experience of Sundarbans youth. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Today, the topic of my deliberation is living in an uncertain world, voices of the youths of the Sundarbans. Environmental literacy and co-production of knowledge is essential to empower the youth, particularly in a climatic hotspot like the Sundarbans. This is the basis of our innovative mangrove school project. We find the voice of the community reflected in the voices of youths aged 14 to 18 years, and these were our target group. Inspired by an interdisciplinary team of educationists, historians, anthropologists, and visual artists, we have selected 40 students randomly from one vernacular co-education school situated in the Delta region of the Sundarbans, keeping in mind gender equality. Our project objectives are to capture the reflections of youth regarding the anxieties and experiences pertaining to uncertainty and climate change, to understand youth's voices with regard to uncertainty and climate change, and to co-produce knowledge with expert opinions with creative results. The bottom-up methodologies that we have adopted to document the untold stories of youths include the collection of oral narratives, painting narratives, and written narratives. These are few reflections of the students. It is painted by a 10th grade girl. And the topic of this image is desperate attempt for survival. The painting delineates the recurrent floods, cyclones occurring here, and the constant fear attached to it. The people here are desperate to survive and seek refuge in times of waterlogging by building rafts from banana trees that help carry people and domestic animals. It is painted by a 12th grade tribal boy, and the topic is dying hope of the youth. The image shows how her youth have to study to secure jobs but the advent of COVID has been a dark cloud looming over their heads. The image of the fairy and human skulls signify the gradual dying hope. It is painted by a 10th grade student who witnessed the brutal and deadly onslaught of Amphan. The title of this image is Witnessing Death Firsthand. He narrates that numerous trees were uprooted when the cyclone hit the Ganges Delta. He witnessed a tree falling on a vehicle, killing 2 people on the spot during Amphan. He mentioned that this traumatic experience will be forever etched in his memory. 10th grade student shared his experience through this visual narrative, and the title of this image is Cyclone Amphan Cripples Our Sundarban. According to his narrative, Cyclone Amphan proved to be fatal for the people in Sundarbans under COVID. His own mud house was swept away because of the devastating cyclone. The old lady seen in the painting is his grandmother. She is wearing a mask that signifies dual uncertainty, Amphan and COVID. The painting invites audiences to respond in 2 overall ways to the images or text that demand them to situate themselves in relation to the art and the artist and what is being conveyed. To co-create transformation, we should ask following questions to ourselves. I am highlighting some important questions. What is this to me? What does it mean to me? What am I to this? Where am I in this story? What does this mean, this demand on me as human being, consumer, professional, citizen, or academic? Our future plans are to bring the captured voices of youths into the public domain by organizing a virtual exhibition for the world and a physical one in Kolkata, and to draw the attention of our policymakers to the daily struggles which may help them in planning an initiative to act according to the children's needs and future goals. I'd like to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Anindita.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful presentation. So I see Sumaiya and Mahmuda is in the LLA hub. So will Sumaiya be going with the Photovoice presentation, or will they need some more time?
Yeah. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So now I would like to request my colleague Sumaiya to start her presentation. She actually going to talk about Photovoice. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I hope you can all see the screen.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, can we go to the slide mode, please? Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome to our session at the LLA Hub. I'm Sumaiya Binte Anwar, a research officer working at the International Center for Climate Change and Development. And today I will be talking about our project and a little bit of our work on conducting a Photovoice. I will talk about exploring the tales of uncertainty and resilience through Photovoice. This presentation draws from the TAPESTRY project from the theme of transformation and co-production. Next slide, please. In this presentation, we will talk about the lived experience of the people of the Sundarbans living at the confluence of the active delta of Bay of Bengal, which is the single largest mangrove patch of the world, spread across 10,300 square kilometers, of which 60% is in Bangladesh and the rest of the part is in Sundarban. Next slide, please. We will
Slides are
talk,
not moving. The slides are not moving for us.
are the slides not moving in the online mode? We will talk about lived experiences of uncertainty, living through climatic natural disasters, climatic hazards like sea level rise, increasing surface temperature, high erosion rate in the active delta, increasing climatic events like cyclones and flood. We will talk about the uncertainty of COVID-19 and these climatic hazards that the people of these active deltas in Sundarban are going through and living every day of their lives. Next slide, please. In addition to the above mentioned ecological uncertainty that I have talked about, there is also a series of cyclonic events that the people are facing almost every year, and they're having trouble coping up with it. These cyclonic events are causing damage to the embankments, to the mud embankments, I would say, allowing water to enter the fields and flood the cultivable grounds and making the water and making the land saline. Next slide, please. In this project, the Photovoice component has been conducted among the women. I'm sorry, there seems to be a temporary glitch. Hello? Are the slides being visible online?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, thank you. Okay, in this project, we will tell the stories of around 7.2 million people living around the active deltas. In fact, the population of the people, the amount of population living in this active delta is even more than the entire population of Norway, you know. We have conducted this in a manner that the women living there, they have been asked about to share their experiences of their daily lives, about their problems and the solutions they are coming up with themselves to solve these problems. And just they have shared their daily experiences of living in these active deltas through these photo stories. Next slide, please. For these women, life has kind of changed after Ayla, when the river water, when the salt water entered into the lands and made the water saline. Their means of cultivations have been demeaned. Their livelihood have been harshly affected. Most of the people, the male members of their family as they opted to migrate to nearby cities for work, and the women, they were left behind with multiple burdens of work. Next slide, please. We use women as co-researchers. The women group that we targeted, we wanted to make sure that we include all the components, all the social components of women living in those areas. For example, we have included crab and fish collectors, women who are working in the gher, as they call it in local language. We have collected photos of experiences of women living on the embankment. We have targeted the ethnic minorities like the Mahmuda community, landless farmers, gher owners, and also people, women who are going inside the Sundarbans to get, seasonal resources. Next slide. For most of the women, it was a very exciting experience because a lot of them had been given mobile phones with cameras and very simple digital cameras. And it has been kind of the first time for many of them who had, held such a high-tech device in their hand. We taught them how to use it. We asked them to capture their daily experiences living in these areas. And it was a very exciting thing for them. They've learned through the process and they have loved being a part of the process. In the next slide, I'll show you some examples of the images that they have captured. Next slide. When the male member of their family went to other cities for work because the livelihood opportunities after Ayla had been lessened in the area. They couldn't cultivate the lands. The ghers that they used to work on were overflooded. When the male people migrated due to the social barriers, the women were left behind. We asked them to share their life experiences and they came up with these stories by themselves. We just facilitate the sessions. They took the pictures by themselves, the pictures that tell the stories of their everyday lives. In the first picture, you can see a group of women collecting water in coastal areas of Bangladesh, area beside the sea. The water is a major problem. Fresh water is a major problem. They don't get water to drink. They need to walk miles of muddy roads to collect water. They gave us this picture and wanted us to have a look that they need to collect heavy pots with themselves and walk for miles to collect water. And this is a part of their everyday lives. And it has become a regular thing for them. But when we see it from outside, water for us is just a next to normal thing, but for them, collecting water means to have sufficient water as a storage for every day is a factor of, great big deal. So they gave us this picture to have an insight of their life. In the next picture, upper middle picture, go back to the previous slide, please. Yeah, in the upper next picture, you can see a woman. She works as a day laborer. She gave us this picture and she wanted to tell her story, indicating that as a woman, she has to conduct various activities. She works as a day laborer besides taking care of her home. And this is an extra burden for her, she feels. In the next picture, you can see a woman who is putting mud plaster in her mud house. This is a thing she needs to do in almost every 2 to 3 weeks. And it's a very tedious job, physically tedious job, I would say. She needs to do it because due to the saline soil, the mud plaster of her house falls off and she needs to prepare it. She needs to repair it after 1 to 3 weeks to make sure that her house remains intact. This is an kind of additional thing she needs to do for her daily activity. In the next picture down, this is a picture of a woman farmer who works on paddy field. In her area, she only depends on the paddy that is in fact cultivated only in the rainy season, because in the other seasons, due to salinity, the paddy doesn't grow. So she really depends on the rainwater for her harvest of the year and for her food storage for the year. This is the story she wanted to tell us through this picture. In the last picture, you can see 2 small children. The woman who took the picture, she wanted to tell us that she sometimes needs to go work for different works. She needs to go outside, but she needs to leave behind her young kids. She remains concerned about the well-being of her kids. As she is a mother, she cannot leave behind the responsibility of her kids, but she also has to take the burden of the various different other works because her husband is not present at home. This is the story she wanted to tell. So she took the picture of her young kids and wanted to tell her story through this picture. So this is an oversight of the triple burden of work for women living in those vulnerable areas. Next slide, please. From our TAPESTRY project, we wanted to look into the locally led adaptation that these women community are practicing among themselves. We have already given an insight about the different burden that they have within their lives, but what they are doing to cope up with it, it's not all sad news everywhere. They wanted to tell us that in many cases, we cannot go outside, we cannot migrate like other men in our family for work. But what we are doing is we are turning our home ground into our own earning means. They are, wherever possible, they are trying to cultivate small homestead vegetables around their houses. They are rearing domestic animals. By this domestic animals, they're being able to, sell some milk outside. They're with the homestead gardening, they're saving some for their own consumption, and they're selling the leftover outside to nearby areas. And by this, they are kind of earning some means of monetary value, and they feel that they're turning their own houses, the area of their own houses, into their own turning means. And it's very inspiring to see that they give so much efforts to such adaptation measures. Next slide, please. In this picture, the woman, they wanted to show us that they're living with disasters, they're living with cyclones every day, but they're coming up with their own means, their own survival techniques to battle these horrible winds and storms. By this picture, the woman, they wanted to show us the local technique that they used to survive. In the first picture, you can see the roof, the tin roof of their house being tied to the ground. It is done so that the wind don't blow off the tin shades from their houses. And this is a technique they have learned by themselves, living with such winds for years and years, and they have learned by themselves. Maybe like in the villages of Bangladesh, I have visited personally. I haven't seen this being done in other parts of the country, because this is like kind of area-specific techniques that they have developed among themselves. So this is a tie that they use. You will find all the houses in the coastal area where the roofs are tied strongly to the ground to save them from being blown away. In the next picture, you can see, if you notice it, there is a polythene covering in the lower part of the house. This is being done so that the mud foundation that they gave to their houses, the mud is not washed away with the rainwater, and also so that the mud is not easily, thrown off and for the saline soil. And these techniques they have learned by themselves, living with such conditions for years. And it's very interesting to see that they have shared such photos with us of their everyday lives. Next picture, please. In this picture also, this woman, this sister, she gave us this picture, and she wanted to show that almost all the houses, they have kind of a polythene rolled over around the perimeter of the house. Whenever there is water, rain, or very heavy winds, they just roll the polythene down so that they can be saved from the burst of the wind or the rainwater. Also, in this particular picture with the sister, you can see the plinth of the house is almost as her own height. And the houses, they are made very well high above the ground so that during storm surges, they have kind of minimal protection of not being flooded and not being going underwater. And when you visit the coastal areas, you will see most of the houses are in fact built very high above the plinth. And this is a local adaptation measure they have practiced for years among themselves. And the sister, she was very kind enough to share this aspect of her life with us through this Photovoice picture. Next slide, please. In this picture, it's a very interesting picture, as you can see. The road, it's a very narrow brick soling road. And the woman, she has to walk with her aluminium pot in local language, which we call kolshi. She has to walk with that to collect water from a long distance. And in inclement weather, when roads are flooded with water after maybe rainfall or cyclones, when the roads are flooded with water, she has no escape, she still has to go to collect her water for drinking, and there is no way around. Even in such condition, she has to go. So this aspect she wanted to share with us. When we were talking with the women community, we asked them that, how are you feeling participating in this Photovoice exercise with us? She felt that she's kind of doing a man's job. Now, why a man's job? Because in such communities, you will find very less smartphones. And in the cases where there are smartphones, generally men are the owner. So they don't get to use such phones, very often. So she just such a small thing like giving her a smartphone in hand, it made her feel like she's doing a man's job. It's a very interesting insight. She also feels that she's doing something for her own self and for her children, because they don't always get to express their problems in loud voices, they're very humble. Generally, when asked to discuss their problems, you will find very less examples when they are being very vocal. And this Photovoice exercise, they found that it's very interesting because, just by showing a picture, they're giving us an insight of their problem, because they feel that they are not always very comfortable giving loud voices about their problems and their solutions and their lives and so on. So such pictures, it gives a very strong insight into their lives. So they feel very excited about it. They also want to say that for migration, when their husbands move away, they are not always present to, face the natural hazards. So they have to face it kind of alone. So they feel it's very important that, and it's very enlightening that they are sharing their voices and their problems and their measures with a wider community through these pictures. Next slide, please. Now, the problem is we have talked about such issues of people living in coastal saline areas for ages. We have talked about the local adaptation measures that they are conducting among themselves also for ages. They're practicing various solutions. They're coming up with new innovative ideas. Sometimes it's succeeding, sometimes they're failing. When it is failing, they're coming up with a new idea and they're doing it all by themselves. Now, the question remains, these adaptation measures, how much sustainable are they? Because when we talk to the community, for example, after 2009 cyclone Ayla, it took them years to come back to a standing position of life again. After the COVID lockdown, they had a hard time bringing their livelihood measures under control again. And during the COVID, what happened? Cyclone Amphan hit again. And they had to start from the scratch because again, their cultivable lands were washed away. So they stand up again, and then something like a cyclone happens once again and brings all their efforts to ground zero. So these adaptation measures, how much sustainable are they? This question actually remains to all of us and to high-level negotiations like the one we are attending now. With this Photovoice journey, we have a plan of country-level dissemination and roundtable going ahead, because this is just a piloting stage of our work. And everyone present in this hub, we would like all of you to be part of our journey and to be involved with us going ahead in these works. And we will be sure to keep all of your contacts and make you, a part of this journey while going ahead. Next slide, please. So this is it. Maybe I took a bit more time than I was allotted, but I wanted to share all the pictures that the sisters have shared with us and their stories through their eyes. Thank you everyone for all your patient hearing. Back to you, Mahmuda.
Thank you so much, Sumaiya. So the presentation that actually she shared was based on our Photovoice activities. So now I would like to request my colleague Upashana Ghosh to talk a little bit about digital diary. So we also conducted digital diary to facilitate co-production and to understand the agency of migrants in both Indian and Bangladesh Sundarban part. So Upashana, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please go ahead.
So Mahmuda, can you please navigate the slides or
maybe yeah, I will, no worries.
Okay. So hi everyone. Already my colleagues have introduced Sundarbans to you, and just let me to brush up you that Sundarban is a climatically vulnerable, socio-politically marginalized delta which caught between two political boundaries between India and Sundarbans, India and Bangladesh. And this population is improvised. This population is struggling in day-to-day life with avail their resources to continue the life, continue the households. There are issues with human nature conflict. There are issues with trafficking and many other social and political issues. So in that context, gathering the data or say, for instance, better to say the perspectives of the communities was very difficult. It was a challenge for all the researchers who have who worked in Sundarbans. They will all agree with us. And at the same time, it is very hazardous during the monsoons or the cyclone seasons, because due to the climate change impacts, the Sundarbans in both India and Bangladesh are now very prone to natural disasters like cyclone and floods. So almost each year, this delta is gaining the cyclones like Amphan, Yash, or many others. I mean, there are so many cyclones are there. So within these situations, the pandemic COVID-19 happened, and the entire research activities for us became a standstill. But as researcher, or as committed to the people, to the communities of Sundarbans, we wanted to capture their narratives, their struggle of their life during the pandemic, as well as the cyclone Yash and Amphan. So that's why we think now to use some remote methodologies. One is definitely Photovoice, and another thing what we used is the digital diaries. Next slide, please. So digital diaries is basically to giving the mobile phone, the low-cost mobile phone, or the people who have smartphones in both India and Bangladesh, just to capture their daily existence, their daily struggle to live within a dual vulnerability of COVID pandemic as well as cyclones. So how this process is, I mean, why we basically wanted to carry forward these activities when the physical contact was not possible, the physically researchers can go and talk to the communities. This research process, this digital diaries was a mean to capture the day-to-day experiences with nuances with the communities. So as this data was collected by the participants itself, means by the community members itself, it was kind of an empowering experience of those participants, because it was less controlled by the researchers like us. So this research process in that way go beyond the academic outcomes, and it gives the community-led processes other than the community-based research. This kind of method is a community-led research, which gave us the knowledge of their own lived experiences amidst the climate change and pandemic scenarios. So this and as well as as researchers, we cannot be with the communities or our respondents or our participants all the time of a day. So if we need to capture the nuances of their daily life, these tools give us a means of capturing the every moment that the participants wanted us to tell or wanted us to capture through our research. So that's how these methods are very helpful. And as I mentioned, that this was more helpful during the COVID pandemic and cyclonic environment. Next slide, please. So this digital diaries helped us in getting the ground perspectives, what we wanted to capture through our in our tapestry project, and it was quite helpful to navigate our research context. As I mentioned earlier, that various uncertainties, especially during the monsoons, we were restricted in every year. We were restricted to go to the field and capture the practices. So this kind of tool, it helped us to capture the exact moment, the exact uncertainty the people are facing at the time of cyclone Amphan. So that though those situations was really very unfortunate to see, but that realities from their voices, from the community's voices, or from the perspective of the communities, we could capture, and it was very powerful narratives and very on the face. So that is the power of this kind of tools. we basically used this with the migrant families whose specifically whose husbands are migrated to outside, and this was the women of the communities are within these islands. So these tools gave us a kind of freedom to capture the continuous changes. Means during if in each year, in every season, we could capture the seasonality of the struggles or the uncertainties throughout the season of a year, and that was quite useful, because it was not possible for the researchers to go every time, because in a time bound manner we are doing this research, and the complete traditional ethnography is not possible. So this method helped us to engage with various kind of communities, and without any hassles, without any kind of hesitations, to talk to unknown persons like the researchers, and easily they can overcome that barriers and continue capturing their life. Next slide, please. So Mahmuda, would you like to reflect on the case studies?
Yes, I can. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Upashana. So like this picture was taken in April this year. So this is the story of Mosammat Fatima Begum, who is almost destitute due to frequent effects of cyclone. She used to live in Shimoltuli, but like Shimoltuli is another village of Shamnagar. So during Cyclone Aila, she almost lost their land, household, properties and everything due to river erosion, and were forced to move in this new place, which is another gram of Munchiganj Union. But what a cruel irony of fact, this house also collapsed during Cyclone Amphan. She is now working as a day laborer, but is not earning enough money to repair this house. Next slide, please. This is a picture of a fresh water pond, which is used to for cultivating fish and vegetable, and also the other household activities. The Suparna Nandi mentioned that they couldn't cultivate at all due to high salinity in the area. And then an NGO dug the pond in which they now hold successfully hold rainwater, and due to having this fresh water, they are now able successfully to cultivate both vegetable and fisheries, and also fulfilling their family demand and selling some of rest of the products in the market. Next slide, please. This picture was also taken by a woman who mentioned that Cyclone Amphan and Yash had put extra pressure on their livelihood. As a result, all the male members of the house had to migrate seasonally for working purpose. Now the female members are responsible for taking care of their family, for look after all the household activities, also earning money for day-to-day food. Next slide, please. So this is another picture taken from our digital diary work. The narrative of this picture is from a father's point of view. I'm saying the words of a person who took the picture. According to him, these are the cycles that he bought for his sons and daughter. His daughter is married, and his sons had migrated to out of the country. So now like he mentioned that he had to take loans to buy these cycles, but unfortunately they remain unused for most of the time. Now he's thinking of giving this to someone else who can use them. And he was like becoming so emotional while sharing these stories. He was saying, we are very poor people. We can't like make money, or we can't arrange money for like fulfill our interest. So it's not our need. It was our like hobby. Like my son and daughter were like demanding it for like moving to school, but now they are not able to using both of them. So in this way, the local people are sharing their daily stories, which helps us to conduct the research more actively. Now I would like to request Upasana to conclude the presentation. Upasana, hand over to you.
Yeah, can you please move to the next slide? Yeah, so you heard from Mahmuda that's, both in India and Bangladesh sides, the people are presenting their stories, the communities are narrating their lived experiences, which we wanted to capture. But in many great things comes with challenges. So as the digital diaries and say for any visual methods. So ethical concerns is one of the biggest challenge for us. We tried our best to capture, keep the anonymity on and any identifiers of the respondents, and in which photos the respondents wanted to show their face, or because these are captured by themselves. So we had undergone the process of ethical approvals and consent forms. So that's how we minimize this kind of risk to the communities. And the process is still ongoing, and we are also evolving this process and how to make it more community-led and more ethical. So, but at the same time, the bias perspectives, the risk of the bias perspectives is there definitely. These biases are maybe mainly of two types. One is definitely at the community level, because the communities and the respondents specifically, which they wanted to capture, that's based on their perspectives. Though we need to capture those, but some risk of some biases must be there, because we as a researchers are not going to be there to see the actual situation. We are basically using the community's lens to see, which may arise some biases, and we need to strategize how to minimize those biases. That's process we are still working on. Bias is definitely there in the process of in the perspectives of us, from our perspectives also, because that is based on the selection bias. Because when we started this digital diary process, we approached to the community-based organizations working with the communities in Sundarbans in both India and Bangladesh. So there maybe there is a very thin filter of this CVO's biases to whom to give this project, or whom to give these cameras or digital phones. So this biases and what we are gathering that those kind of biases are perceived like it is not going to the lowest layer of the societies as we expected, because this biases would be there, and definitely this we are strategizing that how to overcome this entire research bias. So at the same time, remote monitoring and supportive supervisions or problem solving from a distance was very difficult for us. and it is still continuing. That's some respondents may not be able to use that camera, or they have deleted some things, how to recover, how to capture it again. So this kind of things, it's a bit difficult from a distance to maintain, but we are still struggling. But at the end, I would like to say here that with all my colleagues, we discussed several times about this digital methods, and say for instance all the visual methods, that it has potentials to capture the community perspectives as nuanced as possible. At the same times, it may get a little bit of biased from the perspectives of the researchers and the communities as well, especially on behalf of the community-based organizations. So maybe a resultant force we will come up, or all the researchers who are doing these visual methods, it may evolve as a kind of participatory ethnography, and that will be the ultimate of participations of the communities. Or we can say that now the communities are our co-researchers. Thank you.
Thank you, Upasana. So now I would like to show a video to all of our participants, which actually we prepared based on our Photovoice, digital diary, and children voice messages. So let's enjoy the video.
আমরা আপনাদের সাথে 3 মাস ফটোভয়েস নিয়ে কাজ করব। এখানে আপনারা স্মার্টফোন দিয়ে ছবি তুলবেন।
আমরা এই চিহ্নটা ব্যবহার করব কোন ছবি ওঠানোর সময়।
এই রেকর্ডিংটা উপরে হাত দিবেন, আবার আপনি ওটা আছে রেকর্ডিং সেভ হয়ে যাবে।
আপনাদের সবার ছবির পাশাপাশি আমরা আপনাদের পরিচয় বলতে নাম এবং যেই জায়গায় আপনারা থাকেন,
আপনি এই ছবিটা কেন তুলছেন?
এই ছবিটা আপনি কি বোঝাতে চাইছেন? ছবিটা দিয়ে
আমাদের পুকুর নেই, নদীতে মানে নদী জোয়ার আসলে নদীতে থালা বাসন মারতে হয়, সেটা ওই উঠেছে।
মানে বৃষ্টি থেকে ঘর বাড়িকে রক্ষার জন্য আপনি এই ছবিটা আপনারা এই ব্যবস্থা করে থাকেন।
ফটোভয়েস প্রোগ্রামের কাজ করতে গিয়ে একটা বাস্তবমুখী অভিজ্ঞতা হয়েছে। সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের গ্রামের মেয়েরা সাধারণত 10-এর সামনে কথা বলার একটা সাহস বা অভিজ্ঞতা ছিল না। সেই জায়গাটাতে 10-এর সঙ্গে বসে একটা কথা বলার মতন মনোবল তৈরি করতে পেরেছে। সবথেকে বড় অভিজ্ঞতা হয়েছে যে নিজেরা যেহেতু গ্রাম বাংলার মধ্যে থাকি, কোনগুলোর দ্বারা কি ক্ষতি হতে পারে আমাদের মধ্যে, সেই অভিজ্ঞতাটা বাস্তবে চোখে দেখলেও অতটা নিজেদের মধ্যে স্বচ্ছ ধারণা ছিল না। সেটা ফটো তুলে এবং 10-এর সঙ্গে বসার পরে সেখানে একটা ছবির দ্বারা যে বুঝিয়ে দেওয়া হয়েছিল,
উন্নয়ন, এই বিশ্ব উন্নয়নের কবলে পড়ে আজকের এই বিশ্ব উষ্ণায়ন।
তার প্রমাণ আমরা পেয়েছি বিগত কয়েক বছরে সমুদ্র উপকূল অঞ্চলে বিভিন্ন ঝড়, আয়লা, সুনামি, ইয়াস, আমফান, বিভিন্ন রকম ঝড় দেখা দিয়েছে।
So I hope you all enjoy the short film. So do you have any question or comments that you would like to share? Actually, we have one from YouTube live stream. Hyoban is interested to know over what time period the women engaged in photography, and did you find women preferred using a smartphone or digital cameras? I think this question is for Shibaji or Sumaiya. Shibaji, would you like to answer?
Thank you, Mahmuda. I've already tried to answer it in the chat, and it has been passed on to Shihoban.
Oh.
And
Okay.
if Sumaiya wants to add anything to it.
Okay, I'm handing over to Sumaiya.
So yes, the question has been already addressed. It was collected through over a period of 6 months. We have planned to, validate all the photographs among the community with a group of women together. We will share the pictures with them and we will collect their insights, her own insights and the insights of her neighbor as well. And going forward, we have plans of roundtable discussions and various presentations, and also an online exhibition with the photographs that these women they have clicked. Do we have any more questions?
Could I ask a question? Vinita. So yes, just to say that, we, Anindita and I were part of the collecting the narratives of the children. And in comparison to your Photovoice, which is absolutely superb, I was thinking whether we could draw out the comparisons between the youth seem to be, I don't know, from Anindita's, the paintings that Anindita has collected from the schools in the Indian bit of the Sundarbans, and from your Photovoice experience of women, whether the voices of the youth are less hopeful. I mean, there's a sense of pessimism in those narratives and drawings of the school children, compared to some of the more positive images that come out from the women, would you say? Or would you say they're uniformly, because I know that Soumya, you talked about hope and positive images. So I just wondered whether we could draw out the pessimism of the youth versus the more optimistic nature of the women's images sometimes, or am I misreading that?
In fact, I think you pointed it quite correctly. Like now, as you shade a light into it, I think you are partially correct about the fact that, yes, through the Photovoice journey, I'm saying it's still in a kind of pilot phase. We have seen their problems, but they have been very positive in showing us how they are dealing with it. And they have been very proactive about showing us the solutions they're coming up with. For example, if I just share a personal experience, when we ask them that you are dealing with so much living in these active deltas, would you like to move somewhere? I mean, if given an opportunity, would you like to go somewhere and resettle and, make your new community and everything? And they're like, no, we don't want to go. we are dealing with this. We'll have to deal with this. I mean, this is a part of life. This doesn't mean that we will just leave this space. We belong to the Sundarbans, and Sundarban protects us. So we want to be here. So yes, besides all the adversities that they deal with in their everyday lives, at least I think we found positiveness in their approach as well. So it would be very interesting, I would say, to draw a conclusion with a joint narrative from both the visual methods that we have conducted in this TAPESTRY project. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just one more additional question. I think the Shibaji, your direction of that film was absolutely superb and excellent. May I congratulate you. And I just wanted, I wanted to tease out one more question, which is how you get experts to engage with these photographs, with Photovoice. We have a similar problem with the paintings, and what Anindita and I are trying to do at the moment is to get the experts to engage with them, from the Botanical Survey of India, from NGOs, and from policymakers, to engage with the children's paintings in the way in which we said, to invite them. What does it mean to me? How do I read this beyond climate change as a scientific fact? What am I learning from this artist? And these children are artists, you know, that I didn't know before. And I wouldn't know if it hadn't been presented visually. So how is that process? How do you visualize that process? And has it been effective for you guys in Photovoice? Because we are just going to start that process in with our children's paintings.
Yeah, we had the experience from the Uncertainty project, which we are trying to put it to good use and also go a bit beyond. Having this Photovoice to be presented in some cases by the women islanded themselves at the roundtables and the policy forums. So, and then last time they came on to the press club, and they were so, easily, in the presence of ministers and bureaucrats, which matters, and they were answering questions. And since they have the visuals, like in this case, the children will have the paintings, and so will be a better form of interaction from a position of, I would not say power, but it will be a shared space. That can be something that we can look at, and also the global exhibition we are planning, if we are really trying to communicate that well with the right kind of people. So that will be one of the avenues to actually share their ideas and also ask for counter ideas, or at least start a dialogue.
Thank you.
So do you have any question, comments? If not, then I would like to request Emdad Bhai to talk something about as you are from Friendship, and we know that you are doing a lot of works in the Sundarban region. So it would be great if you could share some of your interventions, like what you are doing and how. Please come to the stage.
Okay. Truly, when I was watching all the case studies and the film, I was feeling myself I'm there, because it's very, very known stories, and it's great that ICAD and our Indian partner, Public Health Foundation, bringing this in the global platform. Honestly, the powerful thing what proved the smartphone, a photo can tell thousands of stories, and that you made it happen. So it's really brilliant. I would love to continue with this journey, and I appreciate the big bold step I get taken for to bringing. And it's not, in other words, to give them confidence, not only the storytelling, it's giving them confidence, empowerment that we can, I can. It's not the man's world, it's all our worlds. That truly I'm significant contribution for the self-esteem. For self-esteem, empowerment, confidence, much needed for our people, those who are fighting for climate crisis. And I truly appreciate. Congratulations.
So Sabina, do you wanna say anything? As you are a professor of climate change and development, like working a lot of work. So would you like to add?
But yes, I really enjoyed your presentation, and it was amazing to get an insight into a region I haven't had the possibility to visit. And I liked so much to hear at the end in the film how the women felt empowered to speak up and how the photos really helped to do that. I've worked with similar techniques in Mexico, and I think we can just say this is the methodology which works, which gives people a voice and which helps also to bring it into a forum like the COP26. Yeah, because not everybody can come, but these pictures were very clear. We now have to find a way to show them to the negotiators as well. Thank you for this great session.
Thank you so much for a wonderful word. So now it's like, I think it's time to close, so we can conclude our session. And thank you so much for attending and providing thoughtful words with us. Thank you so much.
Also, if you could please, Mahmuda,
yes,
announce
yes.
tomorrow's session, please.
Yes, actually, we have another session tomorrow. So this one was based on like our methodology, like what sorts of method we are using for conducting this research. But tomorrow's session will be more focused on our activities or intervention, what sorts of like initiative we are taking, and what are the findings. So I would like to invite everyone to attend that session. So that one will be held in the same place around like 9 to 10 a.m. So hope you all will be able to attend that one and will enjoy as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you.